Back in November of 2019, earlier on the channel, I released a video on the Beretta M9-22, and it's that pistol right there. As a brief refresher, it's a full-scale replica of the 9mm Beretta M9. Actually, I got a picture here I can pull up. There we go. And it's basically a full-size, full-scale of the Beretta M9 or the 92FS series of 9mm pistols. It's just in .22 long rifle. The magazine capacity is 15 rounds. There again, the same as the standard capacity 9mm. So it operates in field strips pretty much essentially the same way as the 9mm one. So it makes it a perfect stand-in for training purposes, and it's a good firearm to practice with. It's a lot less expensive to shoot .22 than 9mm.
Yep.
And it allows you to get that full-size hands-on experience with still a cheaper to operate firearm. And it's also a good transitional firearm for someone that's newer into firearms. Maybe a full 9mm, which, don't get me wrong, 9mm doesn't have a lot of recoil or kick or anything, but if someone hasn't fired a gun before, it's still a lot.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of noise, all that. .22 is a lot easier to transition into, and it's still a full-size gun. It allows them to then make an easier transition to the full-size 9mm. So I was very happy with the gun. Beretta outsourced the manufacture of the pistol to Umarex of Germany, and overall it seemed to be a great firearm, and I said as much back then. Quality was good. It operated well. I didn't have any issues with it function-wise. Anyway, I recently received a comment from a viewer regarding this pistol, and it's from Jim Shoe. So shout out to some of these names, the screen names people have kind of.
A lot of foot fetishes.
A lot of foot things, yeah. But anyway, he basically said, Craig's Gun Channel, I think I'd play it safe and insert a spent shell. There'll be thousands of them laying around. Basically what he's talking about is when I did the field strip of the firearm, I always do a function check after I'm done. And it's a .22 long rifle, so it's, the function check, you cock it back, you pull the trigger, make sure everything works. Some people completely freak out about that. Dry firing a gun, they go completely nuts. The reality is dry firing modern firearms is not that harmful, but .22s can be a little bit more of a challenge. It's just the nature of it's because the firing pin is where the chamber face is.
That's right.
So it can cause some issues. Well, this particular pistol is like most other modern .22s. It's an interrupted firing pin. So what that means is even when the hammer strikes it and it goes forward, if there's no bullet there, the firing pin still doesn't hit the chamber. So there's actually not a whole lot of risk of causing actual damage. Now, with that being said, excessive dry firing is still not good. In all reality, using a mechanical thing causes damage to it. I mean, it's rare.
Repetitive use
will cause repetitive damage. So you want to try to minimize that as much as possible. So I normally don't worry about it, but they were saying that they would still want to play it safe, and they had a reason. They said, I'm told if you harm your firing pin, it's next to impossible to get another one. So that got me to thinking, so I did some checking. And let me just flip through some of this. Let me pull this up full size here so people can see it. I did some research online, and I found some things here. Don't buy, repair parts are no longer available. This is a good gun, except that parts are not available. Broken firing pin, no replacements available or discontinued.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Safety lever, basically it broke, and they couldn't get a replacement part. This is a firing pin where you used to be able to get it, discontinued. So there's a definite theme here, and essentially I couldn't find any place where you could actually find replacement parts for this firearm. So while I don't necessarily worry too much about causing damage just from dry firing it, the reality is all firearms can and will break at some point. And right now, you just cannot get parts for this. And the few places I found where parts were available, it was a limited selection of parts, and almost always they were restricted to sales to licensed FFLs or gunsmiths only. Which, okay, I understand why they do that. There's liability reasons. If you, like with a firing pin, if you really mess up installing it, it could cause the firearm to become unsafe or inoperable. I say as much in all my videos. So if you're not really comfortable working on stuff, you probably should take it to a qualified gunsmith. But here's the problem. The parts are just not available So if anything happens to that pistol,
Becomes
it's
an
going to
expensive
be
club.
very expensive to have it fixed. So it's for those reasons that as much as I like the gun, if you don't have, and they're still for sale. I found several places, whereas I couldn't find parts, I found lots of places where you could still buy the gun. I would recommend at this point that you do not buy one because of that parts issue. I also would say that if you have one, just be aware that if you use it and something breaks, it could be really expensive for you to fix. Now, like in my case, worst case, I could make a firing pin, so I'm not horribly worried about it. However, this is still, it's at the end of the day, it's still a 22 pistol that's meant for low-cost shooting. I have lots of 22 pistols that I can just readily get parts for.
What's this gun cost new?
Suggested retails around $450 to $500.
It's an
The
expensive
street price
22.
is $350-ish.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not a cheap firearm. I actually did see some as cheap as like around $289 in a couple of places. You know, you can always, no matter where you look, you'll find something cheaper than what you paid for it.
Right.
But at this point, I'm probably not going to keep that one. So just for those reasons. So just putting that out there. I just want to make sure that, you know, that whenever we give reviews or give information that, you know, I want to keep it real. So when I said that it was a good gun, I meant it. And now when I say I wouldn't buy one, I mean that.
Well, that's a determining factor on anything you buy, guns or anything.
Yep.
Can you get the repair parts?
Can you get the parts?
If your car is a great car, but you can't get a radiator hose for it anymore, it's kind of, you know,
It turns it into an expensive, inoperable work of art.
It's a determining factor on the quality of the gun itself, is if you can get repair parts for it.
Yep.
So, no, I agree.
Just to put this out there too, I went so far as I've even sent emails directly to Umarex, to not even to Beretta, because Beretta don't list the parts and stuff either. So I sent an email to Umarex, the people who actually manufactured the gun, and I haven't received a response back yet. So I don't know if that means anything. It could just mean that my email is with a million of other ones, or you know, whatever. But just putting that out there. So
it's good info.
Yep.
You changed your changed your tune based off of your research you did, spurred by
Jim
Shoe.
Yep. So thanks, Jim Shoe. Good shout out. And want to make sure we get this information out there. I hope you've enjoyed this clip from the Craig's Gun Channel Random Shots program. The program airs Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. On Random Shots, we discuss content ranging anything from preparedness, survival, politics, firearms, basically anything that's 2A related, with sometimes some rabbit trails on things that aren't related at all. If you enjoy this type of programming, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're notified when we release new content. And if you like it, hit the like button and share us if you would as well. It helps the algorithm and helps the channel grow and helps get our message out. So I guess until next time, stay safe.